Hello and thanks for joining me for this video tutorial on how to color your digital planner with Goodnotes and Procreate. Now, if you haven't checked it out already, please visit my first video on how to use your digital planner so that you can see how to purchase this planner, how to get it set up, how to get it loaded into Goodnotes, and some basic ways to use it. This video is an extension to that because being a coloring planner, we want to be able to actually color it in. So as you can see from the planner that I have here we have our cover, which I've customized, which I showed you how to do in the first video, with a picture, with a little quote. And if you want, you can even add stickers or anything you want to this, just like you can to the rest of the pages. So as we scroll, you can see I did a very brief example on how to color this in our first tutorial. But every other page has these beautiful coloring elements that you can color in. However, Goodnotes, as wonderful as it is a little bit limited in the coloring department. So you've got a few options in Goodnotes. You've got your pens, your fountain pen, brush pen, or ballpoint pen. And you've got an eraser, you've got a highlighter, and you've got things like shapes. So there's no sort of opacity settings that I'm aware of. And you can pick any color. You can actually use the color wheel to pick whatever color you want. So that's not a limitation. But you do have a limitation in not being able to have softer edges on your brushes and also not being able to have any way to fill the big sections. So you can color in Goodnotes and in other note-taking apps. However, for those of us who really want to get creative and really want to color this as best as we can, Procreate is a far more useful app. So to get started, I'm using an iPad Pro with an Apple Pencil for this tutorial, and I'm using Goodnotes 5, which is what I am currently have open here with the planner, and I'm going to be using Procreate for the actual coloring. Now, each of these are separate apps, so you will need to purchase them, and I am not associated with them, so I don't get anything for promoting them other than I just love these apps. So we're going to first pick one of our pages that we would like to use. So let's just turn off our pen and have a bit of a scroll through to work out what we would like to color in today for our example. Now, let's see, we've got some flowers here, some fun circles, some fruit, that might be a fun one, or you know what? I am very much in a donut, chocolate, lolly type mood, candy mood. Or we've got our cogs in September. Oh, decisions. I think I'm going to stick with August for coloring. So before you go filling out your planner, if you want to color these frames on the edges in, I recommend doing it first, because what we're going to do is we're going to use a separate file that I've created for you that you can import back into this after you've colored it, but it will come back in like a sticker. Now, if you think about with a printed planner, when you are using stickers, you want to do your background stickers first and then you layer things on top. Goodnotes is much the same. It doesn't work in layers like something like Photoshop where you can rearrange your layers. You need to put the layers down in the order that you want them to be. So that means for us, we want to do our background first. And this frame, even though it doesn't cover the section in the middle, this frame around the outside is actually a full page sticker. So it needs to be on our background. So what I've done is I've created in your download, we'll head to our files here. When you download the digital 2020 planner, which you can find at sarahreneeclark.com, you will get a folder here. You have your read me first with some instructions, the digital planner file, which is what we've imported into Goodnotes, and you have these PNG page frames. If you open up the PNG page frames, you'll see it's divided up into folders, and each folder is full of all different backgrounds. And this one you can see I've actually already colored in from January. And you've got all different backgrounds. These are the backgrounds for every part of the planner. So every single page in the planner is in this file, including the pages at the start. And also at the bottom, we've got the pages at the end. So your year review and some of your note pages are in there as well. Now, there's no reason that you can't even swap around your frames. If you really like the August design and you want to put it in July, you can do that in here. The only thing is you'll have to write over your August there. But if you want to do that and you can work out how to do that, absolutely go for it. It's your planner to be as creative as you want. But for today, we're going to color in. Let me just open up Goodnotes next to here so we can see what page we're trying to do. We're going to color in this page of August. So we've got August 3rd. Now what we need to do is find the picture that matches this one in our file section. So from the looks of it, we've got, these are in order, but I think we can find here, looking at some of the elements, like the different donut positioning, I think this is our frame here. Yes, that looks right to me. So what we're going to do is we're going to open this up in Procreate. Let's bring that over. So now that it's in Procreate, Procreate has actually filled it with a white background. So the first thing we want to do in our layers panel here is turn off that background color. Just because if we cover this background or leave this on, it's actually going to cover up all of your planner page. Remember, this is like a sticker. So you want to not have the middle in your sticker. Now, if you're not familiar with Procreate, there are a few little tricks that you can use to color this page that will speed up your coloring, but will also help you to keep it nice and neat and not go outside the edges. The first thing we can do is use our picture here as a reference layer. So to do that, you tap the word layer, and then on the left-hand side in the menu there, you've got reference. Now, if you click that, what that means is that now we'll create a new layer, and we can drag and drop our color, and it will use that base layer. Oh, it's not working for me. There we go. As a reference. So see how it fills those areas based on where that was colored in. So let's go back to our layers. Now, what I've done, I've intentionally done the drawing in a new layer because that will give us more flexibility in being able to color it in later on, in being able to add shading or anything like that. So generally my advice would be to create each new color or each new section in a separate layer, because it gives you a lot more freedom later on to be able to add effects to those sections without affecting the other sections. So we might just go ahead and fill in. So we'll keep working in this layer. I'm actually going to pick a different color. In fact, I'm going to have a quick look at my color catalog, which I have here saved in Goodnotes. And we're going to choose a color palette that we can use. Oops, turn my pen off. And we're going to go by theme here. Let's see if we can find a food-related theme that actually might match this page really well. I'm eyeing off in particular maybe this one as a bit of a candy theme. Let's have a look at our picture that we're looking at to see if we think this will work. Or let's see, let's look at some of the other food options. Or we've got this really bright one. That might be a little bit too bright, so I think we're going to go back and use that first one. Let's do it. Let's use this. So there's actually a really cool thing here. Now that we've got the color palette in front of us, we can actually highlight these hex codes and use these exact colors. So let's copy that one, which is the pink. I'll just move this way. We go into our color panel and we've got values here with the hex code. So we can actually just type it right in there. Paste. Done. And see, there's our pink. And what we will do is we're just going to pop it down here to save that color so it's easily accessible. And let's come back and grab these other colors as well. Copy. Paste. Cool. Let's get the rest. Now, there might even be a better way to do this. I'm still a bit of a Procreate newbie myself. But, so if you do know a quicker way to create, oops, what have I done? To create a color palette from numbers like this, then please let me know in the comments. Now, you'll notice here you've also got RGB colors, which match up with the color catalog. So you can type them in, but the hex code is the quickest way to get the colors quickly. So we now have our matching palette in Procreate. So we can close up the color catalog. We don't need that anymore. And now I can quickly use these colors to color our backgrounds. So I think, let's do green, the mint green. It's kind of mint color. So we're going to click and drag, and that will fill our background. Now you'll notice that as I'm doing this, it is creating a bit of a funny edge, but we have a little hack to fix that later. So I'll show you that once we've done our background. I think we've covered our background. Cool. So now what we're going to do before we go any further is we're going to fix up those little black lines. And to do that, we're going to take our reference layer, we're going to swipe left, and we're going to duplicate that layer. Then we're going to click, hold, and drag that layer to the top. And then if you click the N, we're going to change it to multiply. Now what that does is kind of it strips all the color except for the black in this layer, and it will lay it on top of your artwork. So if we turn it back to normal, it's just a full layer, but by setting it to multiply, it takes just the blacks and gives us those crisp black lines back. See? So now everything we color is technically happening underneath this layer, as long as we keep this layer on top. And to be sure, I'm going to also lock it so we don't accidentally draw on that layer. Okay, so now back to our drawing. What I'm going to do is create another new layer because I don't want to, in fact, we might rename this. This is our background. We'll just leave, actually, if we unlock this one, we can also rename this. I'm just clicking on it to get this little menu. So we'll call this black lines. And let's lock that again. And then we've got our reference layer. For this one, I'm just going to pick another color and we're just going to run with it. So let's do the pink. Again, we can just drag and drop really easily. Now, sometimes if you're filling little sections like this, you might find it misses a bit. So that's where you can grab your brush and just pick a pen and just do that little bit manually with the brush. So using the brush, you can actually colour the old-fashioned way. However, I like using the fill initially because it's just a bit quicker. Now I might change, we're just going to make another colour. So we'll go to a new layer again and let's add some blue to this mix. Now I'm going to bring in an extra colour in here just because I feel like it's not really sugar and treats without some chocolate. So let's just try and find a good chocolate colour. In fact, I'm going to go back to my colour catalogue and find an appropriate colour. Let's go back to food. Let's find chocolate. Here we go, here's some chocolate. So we're going to grab these colours to make our chocolate. In fact, I like the darker chocolate colour, so we're going to use that on some of our chocolate pieces here. Oops. Now, because we've kept all our layers separate, when it comes to doing a bit more than just drag and drop colour, we can actually go further than that and we can do some really good shading now. So first we're going to go back to our green layer as our background and we're going to pick our green colour, but then I'm going to just darken that a little bit. And then I'm going to choose my brush and I'm going to choose just any marker or any pen or anything that you think will work that you want to use for some shading. Now, before we do this, as you'll notice, as I've just painted, there's nothing stopping me from going outside the lines here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go back into our layer panel. We're going to click on that background and we're going to press Alpha Lock. What that does is it means that we can only paint on the areas that are already painted in that layer. which is why it's been really helpful that we've separated all these layers for a start, because now when we paint on this layer with the alpha lock on, it will only paint on the green areas. Now, for a start, I've noticed that's a really ugly green, so I'm just going to lighten that back up a bit. So now I can shade all of this area. I can shade and create some shadows behind here. So the great thing is that you can actually be quite rough and therefore do it quite quickly, because you don't have to worry about staying in the lines, because the program is staying in the lines for you. And we can even, if we lighten our color, do just some little effects or other things on there as well. Now let's jump on one of our other layers. So we've got our yellow layer. Let's again do the alpha lock, and we'll go back to our yellow and pick just a bit of a darker yellow. And I'm actually going to go to just maybe a marker. That's too small. So here we've got our opacity here, and we've got our size here. So we're just going to fiddle around until we get something that works. There we go. So I'm just going to very roughly colour in some of these sections. That's actually all the yellow we have. So let's jump into another colour. Pop our alpha lock on. In fact, we'll pop the alpha lock on all the layers while we're here. So let's head to our pink. Another thing I really like about digital colouring is the undo button. So you can test something out and go back and try it again. So for the sake of this video, I'm going to stop here with my colouring for now so that I can show you how this works in the planner. But obviously you can keep colouring and go the whole page and add as many effects as you want and all of that. So the main things to keep in mind, reminding back to the start, is we want our black line layer on the top set to multiply. And we want our reference layer at the bottom, which we don't need when we export this, but during the coloring that helps. And then each of the layers. And remember to have that background layer turned off. So you want to see absolutely clear behind all of this and all in the middle. You want all this area in the middle to be clear and all around the outside to be clear as well. Once you're finished your coloring, go up to your settings icon and the share action. And we want to share the image as a PNG, which is what the original image was also saved as. Now you can save the image to your camera roll, but what I've chosen to do is save it to my files because that's where I have the original one stored. So I'm actually going to go back through where my planner is, where my page frames are, and I'm going to save it in the same folder as the original. And when I save it, instead of replacing the existing item, I do want to keep that in case I ever change my mind or want to color it differently or even want to create other pages using the frames. So I'm going to press keep both. Now, once it's exported, we can close Procreate. We can head back to Goodnotes, just close our color catalog here and go back to our digital planner. On this page, we can now import that picture by clicking the picture button, tapping anywhere on the screen. Instead of taking it from the photos, which is where you could get it if that's where you chose to save it, we're going to go insert from. And we're going to go through our folder, I'm just in a sticker folder here, back to our digital planner where we saved the file. So it was August, and you can see here it is, nice and colored. So I'm going to click on that. And when we drag it back in, we're then going to use the resize tool to resize it to fit the page. Now, a little tip, the outside, as you can probably see, has a tiny white edge. So if you don't match it up perfectly, that's okay, because obviously it is a little bit hard to match up exactly the same when it's resizing it and it's not a perfect fit. So that's pretty close. We're going to match the inside line instead. So if you find that the lines are not quite perfect, you can even make it a touch smaller, just a little bit smaller, and it will help hide those lines. So now from here, if you really don't want to color the rest, you could actually use that same page frame and put it through the entire section, the entire August section. However, I have created slightly different artwork on each page. So if you are feeling creative and you want to pick a different color set every day, or if you want to continue that theme through, you've got something new to color every time you do. So that's up to you. If you really don't want to make multiple, like if you don't want to have to go through that coloring process over and over and over, you can go and grab that same picture and pop it on here. This is the bonus of digital planners, is that you can cut and paste. So you only have to color once. But that, because see, that is actually different to the artwork on the page. But when we cover it up, you wouldn't even know. Thanks for joining me for this tutorial. I'm really excited to see what you guys can come up with using Procreate and Goodnotes together. So please make sure you jump into my Facebook group and show me all the amazing things you're doing. This is a really creative planner that you can do anything you like with. You can even use those frames to create extra note pages or extra pages that are not included in the planner by going to the notes section, and you can replace these frames with anything you want, or you can even copy this page. So you could create endless note pages with different designs if you'd like. There's also an optional sticker pack that you would have seen when you put through your order that you could buy for an extra, I think it was $7 when you buy the planner. If you didn't buy it then, you can buy the stickers in my store separately at a slightly higher price. But when you get that pack, you then have stickers that match every one of the themes for each of the months in the planner. So as you go into each of these are saved as PNGs as well. So you can take these stickers, do the same thing we've just done in Procreate with the frames, and you can create endless variations of the washi tape or endless variations of these sections here and use them as stickers, either black and white or colored, in your planner. So you can import as many of these as you want. Again, being digital, you can copy and paste to your heart's content. So you can really create something amazing on these pages, and you're not limited by the artwork that's already here. Like let's look at, for example, our October page where we've got a leaves theme going on. if we head into our folder, and I'll just do it as a split screen view to make it easier, and we're going to grab our October stickers, and you can see that I've actually created the same artwork in the stickers. So you can go color these. Just remember to save them back as PNGs with the blank background if you're wanting them colored, or you can just use them as black and white, and you can simply drag and drop these, or you can import them in the way that I showed you before. And we can create entire scenes that aren't just limited to the frame that the background, that the coloring's already in. You can put these anywhere on the page. And again, if you color these before you bring them in, then they can match your background exactly. You can color them exactly as you've matched your background and get really creative. So show me what you can do. Pop it in the Facebook group. I'd love to see it, love to hear your ideas and how you're using this in a creative new way. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel for more tutorials that are coming soon. This is just one of many tutorials that I have planned. And they'll also be available in the help section on my website at sarahreneeclark.com/help. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Thank you for joining me today, and leave your thoughts, ideas, questions, everything else in the comments, and I'll see you at my next video.